Let me start by saying it's definitely an honor to be here, and I think the committee's done an outstanding job. Guthrie's been unbelievable, giving me information and reaching out and guiding me through this process. And to the North Carolina Sports Hall of Fame, I'd just like to say thank you. As Paul said, I spent 5 years in the Ernie House. But before I get on that, Bob Harris here. You guys know Bob's a Hall of Fame guy. Bob did every one of my high school football games. And tell you how old Bob is, he's aged good though, Bob. But Bob called every one of my high school football games in high school. And then we reconnected a few years later at Duke University, where he was the voice of the Blue Devils. And I happened to be assistant coach there for 14 years and grateful for that opportunity. And I guess I'm one of God's blessed kids in that I've had a lot of gifts, and I've said 1,000 times, and there's a country song that reminds me of this. And it says, I don't know why it happened to me, why I deserve all these blessings, but God has definitely been good to me. And for the North Carolina Sports Hall of Fame, thank you guys so much for inviting me into this. Studying for exams to be with us, so I'm going to applaud for her for sure.
Good afternoon. A true leader sits in the middle of the table and not at the head of the table. When I reflect on my grandfather's legacy, this is the phrase that comes to mind. My grandfather, the late Willie Bradshaw, was born and raised in Durham, North Carolina. A native Durhamite, as he proudly referred to himself, Coach Bradshaw started his athletic career playing for Hillside High School and their infamous 1943 unbeaten, untied upon, and unscored upon football team. He then went on to play football, basketball, and baseball for North Carolina College, now known as North Carolina Central University. Upon graduating from Central, he was drafted into the United States Army as a paratrooper for 20 months. Before transitioning into a career of athletic administration, he also played for the Durham Eagles, a Negro professional baseball league. All of these experiences throughout my grandfather's career and his earlier life emphasized the value of collaboration through teamwork, a value that he continuously displayed throughout both his state and local positions. Deeply rooted in his Durham community, my grandfather learned the value of community at a young age and carried this throughout all of his positions. As the first Black athletic director for a city school system, Durham Public Schools, in the state of North Carolina, he continuously broke barriers for people of color and residents of Durham. In fact, he often spoke about the absence of Durham natives in leadership positions both in and out of the school system. Over 50 years, he continued to make an impact in Durham, serving on the Durham Stadium Authority and overseeing over $6 million in renovations. These leadership skills were limited to Durham and were not limited to Durham and influenced athletics across North Carolina. Coach Bradshaw also served as the first Black head of the North Carolina Coaches Association and former president of the North Carolina High School Athletic Directors Association, as he previously mentioned. Growing up, I was constantly in awe at my grandfather's extreme pride towards seemingly smaller projects instead of those prestigious titles and accomplishments. Upon first glance, it could be difficult to understand how he could be prouder of coaching a local middle school football team than helping coach the winning All-American Bowl team of 2004. But if you knew him, this would come as no surprise. His eager support for all of Durham Public Schools continued far into his retirement, with him dressing up as Santa Claus for preschoolers every Christmas or volunteering to coach local teams. As we reflect on the significant impact of my grandfather and all the other honorees here and their commitment, I urge each of us to consider the importance of community-based leadership. More importantly, we must consistently remember the way they paved the way for those to come before us and after us. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm used to representing my dad as an artist, and today I get to represent him as an athlete. I don't think a lot of people realize how much football played in his art career and in his life. As a young child, He was shy and overweight, and it was a coach at Hillside that took interest in him because of his size probably, and talked to my grandmother and talked my grandmother into allowing him to play football. My father really didn't want to. He was happy staying at home. But once he learned about lifting weights and conditioning, he then learned to love football and other sports. And that really was a catalyst in helping him come out of his shell and encouraging him to even help with his art career. His first paintings were of football, and it remained a love in his life for the rest of his life. I remember growing up in his home, and he had strategically placed television sets throughout the house so that if a game was on, wherever he moved, he would not miss a play. So I am very honored to be here amongst the inductees, and thank you so much for honoring him and as an athlete. I'm sure he would be very proud. Thank you.